Chapter 22. He set the receiver back down and did not take his eyes from the spot that had moved outside the car. The bulge in the ground, among the stones. An animal, he said to himself, and his heart lugged under the excessive load, the shock of recognition. I know what it is, he realized. I've never seen one before, but I know it from the old nature films they show on government TV. They're extinct, he said to himself. Swiftly he dragged out his much-creased Sydneys, turned the pages with twitching fingers. Toad, Buffonidae, all varieties. E. Extinct for years now. The critter most precious to Wilbur Mercer, along with the donkey, but toads most of all. I need a box. He squirmed around, saw nothing in the back seat of the hover car. He leaped out, hurried to the trunk compartment, unlocked and opened it. There rested a cardboard container. Inside it a spare fuel pump for his car. He dumped the fuel pump out, found some furry hempish twine, and walked slowly towards the toad, not taking his eyes from it. The toad, he saw, blended in totally with the texture and shade of the ever-present dust. It had, perhaps, evolved, meeting the new climate as it had met all climates before. Had it not moved, he would never have spotted it. Yet he had been sitting no more than 2 yards from it. What happens when you find, if you find, an animal believed extinct? He asked himself, trying to remember. It happened so seldom. Something about a star of honor from the UN and a stipend. A reward running into millions of dollars. And of all possibilities, to find the critter most sacred to Mercer. Jesus, he thought, it can't be. Maybe it's due to brain damage on my part, exposure to radioactivity. I'm a special, he thought. Something has happened to me, like the chicken-head Isidore and his spider. What happened to him is happening to me. Did Mercer arrange it? But I'm Mercer. I arranged it. I found the toad. Found it because I see through Mercer's eyes. He squatted on his haunches, close beside the toad. It had shoved aside the grit to make a partial hole for itself, displaced the dust with its rump, so that only the top of its flat skull and its eyes projected above the ground. Meanwhile, its metabolism slowed to a halt. It had drifted off into a trance. The eyes held no spark, no awareness of him, and in horror he thought, it's dead, of thirst maybe. But it had moved. Setting the cardboard box down, he carefully began brushing the loose soil away from the toad. It did not seem to object, but of course it was not aware of his existence. When he lifted the toad out, he felt its peculiar coolness. In his hands, its body seemed dry and wrinkled, almost flabby, and as cold as if it had taken up residence in a grotto miles under the earth, away from the sun. Now the toad squirmed. With its weak hind feet it tried to pry itself from his grip, wanting, instinctively, to go flopping off. A big one, he thought, full-grown and wise, capable, in its own fashion, of surviving even that which were not really managing to survive. I wonder where it finds the water for its eggs. So this is what Mercer sees, he thought as he painstakingly tied the cardboard box shut. Tied it again and again. Life which we can no longer distinguish. Life carefully buried up to its forehead in the carcass of a dead world. In every cinder of the universe Mercer probably perceives inconspicuous life. Now I know, he thought, and once having seen through Mercer's eyes, I probably will never stop. And no android, he thought, will cut the legs from this, as they did from the chicken-head spider. He placed the carefully tied box on the car seat and got in behind the wheel. It's like being a kid again, he thought. Now all the weight had left him, the monumental and oppressive fatigue. Wait until Iran hears about this. He snatched the vidphone receiver, started to dial, then paused. I'll keep it as a surprise, he concluded. It'll only take 30 or 40 minutes to fly back there. Eagerly he switched the motor on, and, shortly, had zipped up into the sky, in the direction of San Francisco, 700 miles to the south. Penfield mood organ, Iran Deckers sat with her right index finger touching the numbered dial. But she did not dial. She felt too listless and ill to want anything, a burden which closed off the future and any possibilities which it might once have contained. If Rick were here, she thought, he'd get me to dial 3, and that way I'd find myself wanting to dial something important, ebullient joy, or if not that, then possibly an 888, the desire to watch TV no matter what's on it. I wonder what is on it, she thought, and then she wondered again where Rick had gone. He may be coming back, and on the other hand he may not be, she said to herself, and felt her bones within her shrink with age. A knock sounded at the apartment door. Putting down the Penfield manual, she jumped up, thinking, I don't need to dial now. I already have it. If it is Rick. She ran to the door, opened the door wide. Hi, he said. There he stood, a cut on his cheek, his clothes wrinkled and gray, even his hair saturated with dust. His hands, his face. Dust clung to every part of him, except his eyes. Round with awe his eyes shone, like those of a little boy. He looks, she thought, as if he has been playing and now it's time to give up and come home. To rest and wash and tell about the miracles of the day. It's nice to see you, she said. I have something. He held a cardboard box with both hands. When he entered the apartment, he did not set it down. As if, she thought, it contained something too fragile and too valuable to let go of. He wanted to keep it perpetually in his hands. She said, I'll fix you a cup of coffee. At the stove she pressed the coffee button, and in a moment had put the imposing mug by its place at the kitchen table. Still holding the box, he seated himself, and on his face the round-eyed wonder remained. In all the years she had known him, she had not encountered this expression before. Something had happened since she had seen him last. Since, last night, he had gone off in his car. Now he had come back and this box had arrived with him. He held, in the box, everything that had happened to him. I'm going to sleep, he announced. All day. I phoned in and got Harry Bryant. He said take the day off and rest. Which is exactly what I'm going to do. Carefully he set the box down on the table and picked up his coffee mug. Dutifully, because she wanted him to, he drank his coffee. Seating herself across from him, she said, What do you have in the box, Rick? A toad. Can I see it? She watched as he untied the box and removed the lid. Oh, she said, seeing the toad. For some reason it frightened her. Will it bite? She asked. Pick it up, it won't bite. Toads don't have teeth. Rick lifted the toad out and extended it toward her. Stemming her aversion, she accepted it. I thought toads were extinct, she said as she turned it over, curious about its legs. They seemed almost useless. Can toads jump like frogs? I mean, will it jump out of my hand suddenly? The legs of toads are weak, Rick said. That's the main difference between a toad and a frog, that and water. A frog remains near water, but a toad can live in the desert. I found this in the desert up near the Oregon border, where everything had died. He reached to take it back from her, but she had discovered something. Still holding it upside down, she poked at its abdomen and then, with her nail, located the tiny control panel. She flipped the panel open. Oh. His face fell by degrees. Yeah, so I see. You're right. Crestfallen, he gazed mutely at the false animal. He took it back from her, fiddled with the legs as if baffled. He did not seem quite to understand. He then carefully replaced it in its box. I wonder how it got out there in the desolate part of California like that. Somebody must have put it there, and no way to tell what for. Maybe I shouldn't have told you about it being electrical. She put her hand out, touched his arm. She felt guilty, seeing the effect it had on him, the change. No, Rick said. I'm glad to know. Or rather, he became silent. I'd prefer to know. Do you want to use the mood organ to feel better? You always have gotten a lot out of it, more than I ever have. I'll be okay. He shook his head, as if trying to clear it, still bewildered. The spider Mercer gave the chicken head, Isidore. It was probably artificial too, but it doesn't matter. The electric things have their lives too, paltry as those lives are. Iran said, You look as if you've walked 100 miles. It's been a long day. He nodded. Go get into bed and sleep. He stared at her then, as if perplexed. It isn't over. It is over, isn't it? Trustingly, he seemed to be waiting for her to tell him. As if she would know. As if hearing himself say it meant nothing. He had a dubious attitude toward his own words. They didn't become real, not until she agreed. It's over, she said. God, what a marathon assignment, Rick said. Once I began on it, there wasn't any way for me to stop. It kept carrying me along until finally I got to the baddies, and then suddenly I didn't have anything to do. And that... He hesitated, evidently amazed at what he had begun to say. That part was worse, he said. After I finished, I couldn't stop because there would be nothing left after I stopped. You were right this morning when you said I'm nothing but a crude cop with crude cop's hands. I don't feel that anymore, she said. I'm just damn glad to have you come back home where you ought to be. She kissed him, and that seemed to please him. His face lit up, almost as much as before she had shown him that the toad was electric. Do you think I did wrong? He asked. What I did today? No. Mercer said it was wrong, but I should do it anyhow. Really weird. Sometimes it's better to do something wrong than right. It's a curse on us, Iran said, that Mercer talks about. It's the curse on us, Iran said, that Mercer talks about. The dust? He asked. The killers that found Mercer in his 16th year, when they told him he couldn't reverse time and bring things back to life again. So now all he can do is move along with life, going where it goes, to death. And the killers throw the rocks. It's they who are doing it, still pursuing him. And all of us, actually. Did one of them cut your cheek, where it's been bleeding? Yes, he said wanly. Will you go to bed now, if I set the mood organ to a 670 setting? What does that bring about? He asked. Long-deserved peace, Iran said. He got to his feet, stood painfully, his face drowsy and confused, as if a legion of battles had ebbed and advanced there over many years. And then, by degrees, he progressed along the route to the bedroom. Okay, he said. Long-deserved peace. He stretched down on the bed, dust sifting from his clothes and hair onto the white sheets. No need to turn on the mood organ, Iran realized as she pressed the button which made the windows of the bedroom opaque. The gray light of day disappeared. On the bed, Rick, after a moment, slept. She stayed there for a time, keeping him in sight to be sure he wouldn't wake up, wouldn't spring to a sitting position in fear as he sometimes did at night. And then, presently, she returned to the kitchen, reseated herself at the kitchen table. Next to her the electric toad flopped and rustled in its box. She wondered what it ate, and what repairs on it would run. Artificial flies, she decided. Opening the phone book, she looked in the yellow pages under Animal Accessories, Electric. She dialed, and when the saleswoman answered, said, I'd like to order 1 pound of artificial flies that really fly around and buzz, please. Is it for an electric turtle, ma'am? A toad, she said. Then I suggest our mixed assortment of artificial crawling and flying bugs of all types, including... The flies will do, Iran said. Will you deliver? I don't want to leave my apartment. My husband's asleep, and I want to be sure he's all right. The clerk said, For a toad, I'd suggest also a perpetually renewing puddle. Unless it's a horned toad, in which case there's a kit containing sand, multicolored pebbles, and bits of organic debris. And if you're going to be putting it through its feed cycle regularly, I suggest you let your service department make a periodic tongue adjustment. In a toad that's vital. Fine, Iran said. I want it to work perfectly. My husband is devoted to it. She gave her address and hung up, and, feeling better, fixed herself at last a cup of hot, a cup of black, hot coffee